A strange awakening. In the heart of a quiet Seattle neighborhood, beneath the ordinary hum of life, something extraordinary was unfolding. Dylan, a diligent software developer, was deep in the throes of code. Lines of complex programming sprawled across his screen, a familiar yet frustrating dance of logic and creativity. He was determined to finish his latest app, a project that had consumed his every waking hour. Little did he know, that very night would change everything. As the clock struck midnight, Dylan leaned back in his chair, rubbing his tired eyes. Just one more bug to fix, he muttered to himself, the glow of the monitor casting an eerie light in the dim room. He pushed through, typing furiously, but his fatigue began to weigh heavily on him. With a sigh, he decided to take a break. A walk would clear his mind, he thought. Stepping outside, the cool night air greeted him like an old friend. The city was alive with the sounds of distant laughter, the rustle of leaves in the wind, and the occasional honk of a car. He strolled aimlessly, allowing his thoughts to drift. As he walked, the neon lights of a bar caught his eye. The intergalactic oasis. It beckoned him like a siren song, promising a brief escape from his coding frustrations. Dylan entered the bar, greeted by a vibrant atmosphere. Colorful lights danced above, and patrons laughed and mingled, their faces glowing with excitement. He felt a sense of thrill pulse through him as he approached the bar. "One quantum quasar, please," he said, pointing at a drink that shimmered with iridescent hues. The bartender winked and handed him a cocktail that seemed to pulse in his hand. As he took a sip, the taste was electric, a mix of fruits he couldn't quite place and a hint of something otherworldly. Dylan felt the drink course through him, igniting a warmth he hadn't felt in ages. He struck up conversations, laughed with strangers, and even joined a group playing an alien card game. The hours melted away like ice in the sun. And then he saw her. In a corner booth, illuminated by the bar's soft glow, sat a woman who seemed to defy reality. Her skin was a mesmerizing shade of cerulean blue, her silver hair cascading like liquid moonlight. She moved with an elegance that captivated him, drawing his gaze like a moth to a flame. Intrigued, Dylan approached, his heart racing. "Hey, I'm Dylan," he introduced himself, trying to sound casual despite the storm of emotions swirling inside him. The woman looked up, her silver eyes sparkling with mischief and warmth. "I'm newbie," she said, her voice melodic and enchanting. "Nice to meet you, Earthling." They talked for what felt like hours, sharing stories about their worlds. Dylan's mundane Earth life contrasted sharply with newbie's tales of space travel and alien cultures. As the night wore on, the boundaries between their realities blurred. Dylan found himself enchanted, completely immersed in her presence. "Want to go somewhere a little more private?" Newbie suggested, her eyes twinkling with mischief. Before he could even respond, she took his hand, and they slipped out into the night, leaving the bar behind. They wandered the vibrant streets of Mars Station, Newbie pointing out dazzling sights. Dylan was spellbound, experiencing a world that felt both familiar and alien. Hours slipped away in a whirl of laughter and conversation, and before long, they found themselves on a rooftop overlooking the vastness of space, the stars twinkling like diamonds scattered across black velvet. It was there, under the shimmering celestial canopy, that they shared their first kiss. It was electrifying, a moment that sparked something deep within Dylan, igniting feelings he never knew existed. Suddenly, a blinding flash of light pierced through Dylan's dreams. He jolted awake, his heart racing as he blinked against the harsh brightness. Panic surged as he took in his surroundings. Instead of the familiar sights of his Seattle apartment, he found himself sprawled across a control panel in what appeared to be a spaceship. Strange, pulsing lights flickered around him, casting eerie shadows. His head throbbed, and a taste in his mouth reminded him of bitter mouthwash. "What on earth?" he muttered, scrambling to sit up. That's when he noticed the warmth beside him. Turning slowly, he was met with the breathtaking sight of Newbie, her cerulean skin glowing softly in the cockpit's lights. She looked even more beautiful than he remembered. Good morning, my love, she purred, a smile spreading across her face, revealing perfect white teeth that glimmered like stars. Who? What? Where am I? Dylan stammered, his heart pounding in confusion. Dylan, it's me, newbie. Are you all right? She asked, concern etching her delicate features. He struggled to piece together the fragments of his memories, the night at the bar, the intoxicating kiss, and the whirlwind adventure that followed. Last night. I was just in Seattle. How did I end up here? Panic surged within him. Oh, Dylan, she laughed, a sound that sent shivers down his spine. You really don't remember. We met at the intergalactic oasis on Mars Station. You were quite charming, especially after your third quantum quasar cocktail. Wait, Mars Station? Dylan echoed, bewildered. But that's impossible. I've never even left Earth. Newbie tilted her head, amusement dancing in her silver eyes. Of course, you've left Earth. How else would you have ended up on Mars Station? Did you stow away on a cargo ship again? Again? Dylan squeaked, his mind racing. I'm not sure what's happening. Did someone slip something into my drink? Dylan, she said softly, reaching out to cup his cheek with her cool hand. This is no dream. Though I must admit our whirlwind romance has felt like one. Romance? What do you mean? He felt a surge of panic wash over him again. Why, our marriage, of course, she replied, her eyes sparkling with excitement. According to the ancient traditions of my home planet, Centura, we are now husband and wife. His heart sank as reality hit him like a meteor. Married? We just met. This is insane. An interspecies marriage isn't legal on Earth. Oh, Earth laws don't apply here, silly. Newbie giggled. And it's not just a marriage. She paused, placing her hand on her flat stomach. More? Dylan echoed, struggling to comprehend. What could possibly be more than waking up married to an alien? Newbie's expression softened. We're going to be parents. The world spun around him, and he gripped the edge of the control panel, fighting the urge to faint. Parents? But we just met last night. Yes, but a Zenturian's metabolism is much faster than a human's, she explained patiently. Our gestation period is only a few days. Dylan's mind reeled at the thought. Married to an alien and about to become a father, all within the span of 12 hours. I need air, he gasped, looking around frantically for an exit. Afraid that's not possible at the moment, darling. We're currently traveling through deep space on our way to Zentura, she replied. Deep space, Zentura. Where are we going? He felt a knot tighten in his chest. To meet my parents, of course. Newbie clapped her hands excitedly. They'll be thrilled to meet their new son-in-law and the father of their grandchild. Dylan felt his heart race. Your parents? But I can't. I don't even know how to talk to human parents, let alone alien ones. Oh, don't worry. They'll love you, she assured him, though a hint of uncertainty lingered in her eyes. You might want to brush up on Zenturian customs before we arrive. My father can be a bit traditional. Dylan swallowed hard. Okay, let's back up. You said we met at a bar on Mars Station. How did I even get there? The last thing I remember is coding in my apartment. Newbie leaned closer, her eyes filled with curiosity. You mean you truly don't remember? Fascinating. Perhaps the quantum quasars affected your memory more severely than I thought. What's the last thing you remember clearly? Dylan closed his eyes, concentrating. I was working late on a new app. I got frustrated because the code wasn't compiling. I decided to take a break and go for a walk. And then, nothing. Just flashes of that bar you mentioned. Interesting, she mused. It seems you've experienced some sort of temporal displacement. It's rare, but not unheard of. Sometimes, when humans first encounter advanced alien technology, their brains struggle to process it. This can lead to memory gaps or false memories. Wait, are you telling me I somehow ended up on Mars, got married, and am now expecting a child, all without remembering how? Dylan asked incredulously. Essentially, yes. Newbie confirmed. Though I assure you, Our connection was instant and profound. You were quite eloquent about your feelings, especially after that passionate kiss under the 3 moons of Phobos. Despite the chaos swirling in his mind, Dylan felt a blush creep up his neck at the thought of that kiss. So, you mentioned you were a xenobiologist? Newbie's face lit up. Yes, I study life forms from different planets. It's fascinating work. That's part of why I was so drawn to you. Humans are a relatively new species in the galactic community, and your adaptability is remarkable. Wait, Dylan interrupted, his confusion mounting. Humans are part of a galactic community. Since when? Newbie's brow furrowed. For about a decade now. Don't you remember the first contact event? It was all over your Earth news networks. Dylan shook his head. I think I would remember if aliens had made contact with Earth. Curious, she mused. It seems your memory loss extends further than I initially thought. Perhaps we should run some tests when we reach Centura. My colleague in the medical division might be able to help restore your memories. Dylan nodded weakly, feeling overwhelmed by the flood of information. He glanced around the small cockpit, taking in the alien technology that surrounded him. So, this is your ship. Newbie beamed with pride. Yes, she's a Stellar Straker 3000, top of the line for interstellar travel. I call her the Cosmic Caribou. Despite his confusion and anxiety, Dylan couldn't help but smile at the name. Cosmic Caribou. That's actually pretty cute. I'm glad you like it. I chose it because of an Earth animal documentary I watched. Caribou are known for their incredible migrations across vast distances. I thought it was fitting for a ship that traverses the cosmos. As they spoke, Dylan felt himself relaxing slightly. Newbie's enthusiasm was infectious, and despite the bizarre nature of his situation, he found himself genuinely interested in learning more. So, tell me more about Centura, he prompted, trying to prepare for whatever awaited him on this alien world. Newbie's face lit up with excitement. It's beautiful. The oceans are a deep violet, and the cities, oh, they float. Can you imagine? Entire metropolises suspended in the air. Floating cities? How is that even possible? Dylan's curiosity piqued. Anti-gravity technology, she explained. It's quite common on Centura. We've harnessed our planet's unique magnetic fields to create sustainable, eco-friendly urban environments. As she continued to describe her home world, Dylan couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and exhilaration. Despite the shock of his situation, a small part of him was excited at the prospect of seeing such wonders. Their conversation was suddenly interrupted by a soft beeping from the control panel. Newbie turned to check the readouts, her expression brightening. Wonderful. We're approaching Centura now. Come, you must see this. She took Dylan's hand, guiding him to the front viewport. As they watched, a swirling mass of purples and blues came into view, growing larger by the second. Dylan's breath caught in his throat as the planet revealed itself in all its alien glory. True to Newbie's description, vast violet oceans covered much of the surface, but what truly took his breath away were the cities, massive structures that seemed to defy gravity, floating serenely above the planet's surface. Glittering spires reached toward the stars, while bridges of light connected various floating sectors. It's incredible, Dylan breathed, momentarily forgetting his anxiety in the face of such beauty. Welcome to your new home, my love, Newbie said softly, squeezing his hand. As the Cosmic Caribou began its descent toward the shimmering planet below, Dylan felt a mix of trepidation and excitement. Whatever awaited him on Centura, alien in-laws, parenthood, or interplanetary incidents, he had a feeling his life would never be the same again. Little did he know, the universe was just getting started. The arrival at Centura. As the Cosmic Caribou glided gracefully toward the planet's surface, Dylan's heart raced with a blend of anticipation and trepidation. The sight before him was nothing short of breathtaking. The swirling colors of the atmosphere transitioned seamlessly from deep indigos to vibrant violets, casting an otherworldly glow across the horizon. For a moment, he lost himself in the beauty of the scene, forgetting the whirlwind of events that had brought him here. "Hold on tight," Newbie exclaimed, her excitement infectious. The ship began its descent, and Dylan felt a gentle pressure on his chest as the gravitational pull shifted. He glanced at her, marveling at her tranquil demeanor amidst the thrilling chaos. There was something undeniably captivating about her, and despite the absurdity of the situation, he felt a surge of warmth whenever she smiled at him. "Are we landing in one of those floating cities?" he asked, curiosity bubbling up within him. "Yes," she replied, her eyes shining with delight. "We're headed to the central spire, the heart of Zentura. It's where my family lives, and it's absolutely stunning." As they approached the central spire, Dylan's jaw dropped. The structure rose majestically from the planet's surface, gleaming with a luminescent sheen that seemed to change color as the ship neared. It looked alive, pulsating with energy, surrounded by smaller floating platforms and bridges made of light that connected various sections of the city. "Wow," Dylan breathed, unable to tear his gaze away. "It looks like something out of a dream." Newbie nodded, her pride evident. Zentura is truly a marvel of engineering and design. The cities float using advanced anti-gravity technology. We've harnessed the magnetic fields of our planet to create sustainable living environments. It's a perfect blend of nature and technology. As the ship finally docked with a soft thud, a mixture of excitement and anxiety washed over Dylan. He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself for the encounter with Newbie's family. "So, what should I expect when we meet your parents?" he asked, a hint of nervousness creeping into his voice. Newbie's expression turned serious for a moment. "Well, my father, Zorak, is the High Chancellor of Zentura. He's quite traditional and may not be thrilled about our marriage. But my mother, Lyra, is very kind. She will probably be more understanding." Dylan swallowed hard. "High Chancellor? As in, your dad is a big deal around here?" "Exactly," Newbie confirmed, her voice tinged with concern. "And that means our marriage could have political implications. Zorak may feel that it violates ancient laws about interspecies unions." Dylan felt a knot tighten in his stomach. "Great, just great. I went from coding in my apartment to meeting an alien leader with my entire future on the line." Newbie squeezed his hand, her touch grounding him. "Just be yourself, Dylan. My father will see your worth if you stay true to who you are." With that, she let him off the ship and into the vast entrance of the central spire. The door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a breathtaking interior. The walls shimmered with a living crystal-like material, reflecting light in all directions, creating a dazzling display of colors. Floating furniture hovered at various levels, and the ceiling appeared to swirl with galaxies, giving the illusion that they were stepping into another realm. "Welcome to my home," Newbie said, her voice filled with awe. Dylan stepped inside, his senses overwhelmed. The air smelled sweet, like a mixture of blooming flowers and fresh rain. As they moved deeper into the spire, he noticed the intricate designs on the walls, depicting stories of Centurion history and mythology. Each image seemed to tell a tale, and he felt drawn to learn more about this rich culture. Suddenly, the soft sound of footsteps echoed through the hall, and two figures appeared at the far end. One was tall and imposing, with deep blue skin and piercing silver eyes that seemed to hold the weight of 1,000 stars. The other was a striking woman, an older version of Newbie, her features equally captivating, adorned in a flowing gown that shimmered like a starry night. "Mother, father," Newbie called out, her voice brightening the tense atmosphere. "I'm home." Dylan's heart raced as Zorak and Lyra approached, their gazes fixed on him. Zorak's expression was unreadable, a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Lyra, on the other hand, wore a welcoming smile that immediately put him somewhat at ease. "Welcome, Newbie," Zorak said, his voice resonating with authority. "And who is this human?" "Father, this is Dylan," Newbie said, her tone firm yet filled with affection. "My husband." "Your husband," Zorak echoed, his brow furrowing. "And what does that mean for the future of our family and our planet?" Dylan swallowed, feeling the weight of Zorak's gaze upon him. "It means I care for your daughter deeply, and I want to be a part of her life and the life of our child," he replied, trying to sound as confident as possible. Laura stepped forward, her eyes sparkling with warmth. "Welcome, Dylan of Earth. It's a pleasure to meet you. I've heard so much about you from Newbie. She has always been a free spirit, and it seems she has found someone special." Dylan offered a nervous smile, grateful for her kindness. "Thank you, Lyra. It's an honor to meet you." Zorak remained stoic, crossing his arms as he studied Dylan. "You do understand the implications of your union with my daughter, do you not? Our laws are very clear about interspecies marriages, especially one involving a member of the ruling family." "Yes, sir, I do," Dylan replied, his voice steady. "But I believe that love should transcend any laws. I want to learn about your culture, your customs, and to show you that I am committed to Newbie and our family." Newbie's hand tightened around his, a silent show of support that fueled his resolve. Laura's gaze softened, and she placed a hand on Zorak's arm. "Let's hear him out, my love. Newbie has always been drawn to the unconventional, and perhaps this is a sign of the times changing." Zorak's expression remained firm, but a flicker of uncertainty crossed his features. "Changing times or not, we cannot simply overlook our traditions. You, Dylan, may represent a new path for our people, but it is a path fraught with challenges." "Challenges I'm willing to face," Dylan declared, feeling a surge of determination. "I've always believed in pushing boundaries and embracing change. This is just another challenge that I want to face with Newbie by my side." "Very well," Zorak said, his voice heavy with contemplation. "But know this, my approval is not guaranteed. You'll have to prove your worth to our people and to me. I will not allow my daughter's future to be compromised by haste." Dylan nodded, feeling the gravity of Zorak's words. "I understand, and I will do everything I can to earn your trust and respect." Zorak's eyes narrowed slightly. "Then let us begin with a tour of the central spire. You will meet the council members and learn about our ways. If you wish to be part of our family, you must understand our customs." As they walked through the spire, Dylan found himself immersed in a world that was both mesmerizing and bewildering. The architecture was a marvel of design. Every room was a fusion of nature and technology. They passed through gardens filled with luminescent flowers that glowed gently in response to their presence, and Dylan marveled at the floating furniture that adjusted itself to comfort the inhabitants. "Every element in our home serves a purpose," Nubla explained, her enthusiasm palpable. "The plants are not only beautiful, they also purify the air and provide nutrients. And the floating furniture, it allows for more space and a connection to the energy of our world." "Your culture is incredible," Dylan said, genuinely impressed. "I can see why you're so passionate about it." They entered a grand hall where council members were gathered, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. The room was adorned with elaborate murals depicting the history of Zentura, and at its center stood a circular table made of a shimmering material that seemed to pulse with energy. "Esteemed council members," Zorak announced, his voice commanding, "I present to you Dylan, a human from Earth who has married my daughter Newbie. He wishes to integrate into our society and learn our ways." Dylan felt a wave of nervousness wash over him as he faced the council. "Thank you for having me," he began, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. "I am honored to be here and to learn about your culture. I care deeply for Newbie, and I want to be a part of her life and the future of our child." The council members exchanged glances, some nodding thoughtfully while others remained skeptical. One elder, with skin like polished obsidian, spoke up. "What makes you think you can adapt to our customs, human? Our ways are ancient, and we do not easily accept outsiders." "I understand the challenges ahead," Dylan replied, his heart pounding. "But I believe that love and understanding can bridge any divide. I am willing to learn and respect your traditions while sharing my own." Another council member, a woman with vibrant green skin, leaned forward, her expression intrigued. You speak with passion, but words alone will not suffice. You must prove your worth. Are you prepared to face our trials? What kind of trials? Dylan asked, his heart racing. Each prospective member of our society must demonstrate their abilities in 3 areas: knowledge of our customs, physical prowess, and emotional resilience, Zorak explained. You will face challenges that test your understanding of our culture, your strength in body, and your ability to endure emotional trials. Dylan nodded, determination coursing through him. I'm ready. I'll do whatever it takes. Very well, Zorak said, a hint of approval in his eyes. We will commence with the knowledge trial. Prepare yourself, for it will test your understanding of our history, values, and ways of life. The council will decide your fate based on your performance. As the council members began to outline the first trial, Dylan felt a mix of anxiety and excitement. This was his chance to prove himself, not just to Newbie's father, but to the entire Zenturian society. The stakes were high, and he was determined to rise to the challenge. Little did he know, the trials ahead would push him to his limits and beyond, testing not only his knowledge, but also the very fabric of his identity as a human in an alien world. As the council session progressed, Dylan steeled himself for the challenges that lay ahead. He glanced at Newbie, who watched him with a mixture of pride and concern. In that moment, he felt a surge of determination. No matter the obstacles, he would fight for their future, for love, and for the family they were about to create together. Trials of knowledge and strength. The atmosphere in the central spire was charged with anticipation as Dylan prepared for the first trial. Council members gathered around a circular table, their expressions a mix of skepticism and curiosity. He felt the weight of their gaze, a tangible pressure that made his heart race. Newbie stood by his side, her presence a comforting anchor amidst the uncertainty. Welcome to the trial of knowledge, Zorak announced, his voice resonating through the grand hall. This trial will assess your understanding of our history, values, and customs. You will be asked a series of questions, and your responses will determine your worthiness to join our society. Dylan nodded, trying to mask his anxiety with a confident expression. I'm ready, he said, determination steeling his resolve. Zorak turned to the council members. Let us begin. The elder with polished obsidian skin stepped forward, a parchment-like tablet in his hand. What is the significance of the great unification in Zenturian history? Dylan paused, recalling snippets of information Newbie had shared with him during their conversations. The Great Unification marked the moment when the various factions of Zentura came together as one people. It symbolizes the harmony between different species and cultures, paving the way for our advanced society. The elder nodded, his expression thoughtful. Correct. It was a pivotal moment that allowed us to thrive as a single entity. Next question, called out the vibrant green council member, her voice laced with curiosity. What are the core values of our society? Dylan took a deep breath, recalling Newbie's teachings. The core values of Zentura include respect for all life forms, the pursuit of knowledge, and the importance of community. We believe in the interconnectedness of all beings and strive to protect our planet and its resources. Another council member leaned forward, his silver eyes keen with interest. And how do we honor our ancestors? Dylan remembered the beautiful murals he had seen earlier. We honor our ancestors through storytelling and the preservation of our history. Festivals are held to celebrate their contributions, and their teachings guide our decisions and actions. Zorak's expression softened slightly as he observed Dylan's answers. You have a solid grasp of our values and history. However, knowledge is only part of the trials. Next, you will face the trial of strength. Dylan felt a flutter of nerves, but also a rush of adrenaline. What does that involve? He asked, his curiosity piqued. Zorak gestured for Dylan to follow him. Come, let us move to the arena. You will be tested in physical prowess against one of our warriors. As they walked through the spire, Dylan's mind raced. Physical prowess? He wasn't sure what to expect, but he was determined to give it his all. He had always been a decent athlete, but this was different. He was about to face an alien warrior. They arrived at a vast arena, a circular space bathed in soft blue light. The ground was made of a material that felt oddly buoyant beneath his feet. At the center of the arena stood a towering figure, a Centurion warrior, his skin a deep shade of green, muscles rippling beneath his form-fitting armor. He exuded an air of confidence and strength that made Dalan's stomach churn with nerves. "This is Kale," Zorak introduced, his voice echoing. "He will be your opponent in the trial of strength." Kale approached, a fierce grin spreading across his face. "I look forward to our match, Earthling. Show me what you've got." Dalan nodded, trying to suppress the fear bubbling inside him. He had to remember that he was fighting not just for himself, but for Newbie and their future. As the two faced off, the council members took their seats, their eyes fixed on the impending duel. "Prepare yourselves," Zorak declared, raising his hand. "The trial begins now." Kale charged forward with surprising speed, and Dylan barely had time to react. He instinctively sidestepped, narrowly avoiding the warrior's grasp. The arena's unique surface gave him an unexpected buoyancy, allowing him to move more freely than he anticipated. "Not bad," Kale laughed, clearly enjoying the challenge. "But let's see how you handle this." With a swift motion, Kale lunged at Dylan, his powerful arms outstretched. Dylan ducked low, rolling to the side and springing back to his feet. He felt a rush of exhilaration. The adrenaline coursing through him heightened his senses. He had to think strategically. Remembering the self-defense moves he had practiced during his college days, Dylan pivoted and aimed a quick jab at Kale's midsection. To his surprise, the warrior grunted but didn't falter. Kale retaliated with a powerful swipe, and Dylan barely managed to duck again, the force of the blow sending a gust of wind past him. "You're quick, human," Kale shouted, a hint of respect in his voice. "But speed alone won't win this fight." Dylan needed to outthink him. He glanced around the arena, looking for an advantage. Spotting a raised platform to the side, he quickly dashed towards it. Climbing up, he prepared to leap off, aiming to surprise Kale from above. As the warrior approached, Dylan launched himself into the air, executing a flip that landed him behind Kale. "Nice move," Kale said, turning to face Dylan. "But you'll need more than tricks to win." Dylan squared his shoulders, adrenaline flooding his veins. He could feel the energy of the crowd, the council members watching intently. Gathering his resolve, he charged at Kale again, this time using a feint to throw him off balance. As Kale leaned to the side, Dylan delivered a swift kick that connected, sending the warrior stumbling back. "Impressive," Kale laughed, brushing himself off. "But let's see how you handle this." Kale lunged again, and Dylan braced himself for the impact. The two engaged in a flurry of moves, each testing the other's limits. Dylan could feel his muscles burning, but he pushed through, fueled by his determination to prove himself. Finally, with a well-timed maneuver, Dylan managed to grab Kale's arm and twist it behind his back, applying pressure. Kale let out a surprised grunt as Dylan held him in place. The council erupted in murmurs, and Zorak watched with keen interest. "Enough," he called, raising his hand again. "Let us see if the human can maintain this hold." Dylan focused, keeping his grip firm. Kale struggled for a moment, then laughed heartily, clearly impressed. "You've got spirit, Earthling, but strength alone doesn't determine a winner." With a sudden burst of energy, Kale broke free, spinning around to face Dylan again. The two locked eyes, the tension palpable. They were both breathing heavily, but Dylan felt a surge of pride. He had held his own against an alien warrior, something he had never imagined he would do. "Enough," Zorak declared again, a note of approval in his voice. "You have shown strength, resourcefulness, and the ability to think on your feet. You may not have bested Kale in strength, but you have proven your worth in spirit." Dylan felt a wave of relief wash over him. He had faced his fears and emerged stronger. The council's murmurs turned into applause, and even Kale nodded in respect. "You have done well, Dylan," Kale said, offering a hand in camaraderie. "Your resilience is commendable. I look forward to seeing how you fare in the final trial." Dylan shook Kale's hand, feeling the warrior's grip solidify his newfound respect. "Thanks. I didn't expect it to be so intense." "Welcome to Zentura," Kale replied with a grin. "You'll find our challenges are never dull." As they exited the arena, Nubai rushed to Dylan's side, her eyes shining with admiration. "You were amazing. I knew you could do it." "Thanks to you for believing in me," Dylan replied, feeling a swell of affection. "I wouldn't have made it without your support." "Now, prepare yourself for the final trial," Zorak said, his voice echoing with authority. "The trial of emotional resilience will test not only your mental strength, but also your ability to withstand the pressures of this society." Dylan's heart sank slightly. "What does that involve?" he asked, his mind racing with possibilities. Zorak's expression turned serious. "You will face scenarios designed to challenge your emotional core. You must show that you can remain steadfast in the face of adversity, especially concerning your relationship with Newbie and the future of your family." Dylan nodded, steeling himself for whatever lay ahead. "I'm ready. I'll face any challenge." As they moved to a different chamber within the spire, Dylan felt a mix of dread and determination. He knew that this final trial could be the most difficult yet. He had faced physical challenges, but emotional ones cut deeper, touching the very essence of who he was. Entering the chamber, Dylan was met with a stark contrast to the previous arena. The room was dimly lit, and the atmosphere felt heavy, almost suffocating. In the center stood a holographic projector that flickered to life, displaying various scenarios. "Your task is to confront these projections and respond to them," Zorak explained. "They will reflect your fears and doubts, testing your emotional fortitude." Dylan felt his pulse quicken as the first scenario played out. The hologram projected a scene of Newbie standing on the edge of a cliff, her expression filled with despair. "Dylan, you don't understand," she cried, her voice echoing through the chamber. "You'll never truly fit in here. They'll never accept you." His heart dropped at the sight. "Newbie, no," he shouted, reaching out instinctively. "I can't lose you." The projection shifted, morphing into another scenario. This time, it showed Dylan standing alone, surrounded by council members who turned their backs on him, their whispers ringing in his ears. "He's just a human," one said dismissively. "He doesn't belong here." Dylan felt a wave of panic wash over him. "That's not true," he protested, his voice cracking. "I'm here for Newbie and our child. I belong." The scene morphed again, now depicting a future where he and Newbie were apart, their child caught between two worlds. "You can't raise our child alone," Newbie's voice echoed, filled with sorrow. "They'll never accept you. You'll always be an outsider." Tears stung Dylan's eyes as he fought against the overwhelming emotions flooding him. "No, I won't give up on us. I'll prove them wrong," he shouted, his voice rising defiantly. Just when he thought he couldn't endure any longer, the chamber darkened and the projections vanished. Dylan stood alone, his chest heaving, sweat beading on his forehead. He had faced his deepest fears, yet the strength within him surged. "Dylan," Zorak said, his voice resonating through the chamber. "You've faced the most challenging aspects of your heart. You've shown resilience and an unwavering commitment to your family. You are worthy." As the council members nodded in agreement, Dylan felt a rush of relief wash over him. He had faced his fears head-on and emerged stronger. Newbie rushed forward, her eyes glistening with pride and love. "You did it. I knew you could." "Thanks to you, I had the strength," Dylan replied, pulling her into a warm embrace. He felt the connection between them deepen, solidified by the trials they had faced. Zorak stepped forward, his demeanor softer now. "You have proven yourself, Dylan of Earth. You are welcome in our society and worthy of my daughter's love. Together, you will forge a new path for your family." Dylan felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. "Thank you, Zorak. I promise to honor your customs and protect Newbie and our child." "Now, let us celebrate this union," Lara said, her smile radiant. "The bonds between our worlds have been strengthened today. This is a new beginning for all of us." As the council chamber erupted in cheers, Dylan felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced before. He was no longer just a software developer from Seattle. He was part of something greater, a bridge between worlds, a union of love that transcended all boundaries. With Newbie by his side, he knew they would face the future together, no matter the challenges that lay ahead. The journey had only just begun, and with each step, they would carve their path through the stars, a testament to love and resilience in a universe full of possibilities. Embracing new beginnings, the celebrations in the central spire were vibrant and alive, filled with laughter, music, and an energy that pulsed through the air like a living thing. Dylan stood at the heart of it all, surrounded by a melange of colors and sounds, feeling both overwhelmed and exhilarated. It was a far cry from his quiet life in Seattle, and yet, in this moment, he felt a sense of belonging he had never known before. Newbie danced beside him, her cerulean skin shimmering under the soft lights that floated around them like fireflies. She moved with an effortless grace, her laughter ringing out like a melody, and Dylan couldn't help but smile as he watched her. She was the heart of this celebration, drawing everyone into her orbit with her infectious joy. "Join me," she beckoned, pulling him onto the dance floor, where other Centurions swirled around them in an intricate display of movement. The music was unlike anything he had ever heard, a blend of haunting melodies and rhythmic pulses that seemed to resonate with the very core of the planet. As Dylan moved with her, he felt a weight lift off his shoulders. The trials were behind him. He had faced his fears and emerged victorious. Now, all that mattered was this moment, the promise of a future filled with love and adventure. "Can you believe it?" Newbie shouted over the music, her eyes sparkling. "You did it. You're officially a part of my family." "I can hardly believe it myself," Dylan replied, laughing as he spun her around. "One moment I was coding in my apartment, and the next I'm dancing on an alien planet." "Welcome to my world," she grinned, pulling him closer. The warmth of her body against his was electric, and he felt a sense of wonder wash over him. This was real. They were together, and he was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. As the evening wore on, the festivities shifted from dancing to storytelling. Elders of the council shared tales of Centurion history, their voices rich and melodic. Dylan sat captivated, listening to legends of ancient battles, cosmic alliances, and the struggles that had shaped the society around him. He marveled at the deep connection the Centurions had to their past, each story woven into the fabric of their identity. "Your people have such a rich history," he said to Newbie, his heart swelling with admiration. "I want to learn everything." "You will," she promised, her eyes filled with warmth. "And I'll be right here with you. We'll make our own stories together." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the festivities, Zorak stepped onto a raised platform to address the crowd. The music hushed, and all eyes turned to him, the High Chancellor of Zentura. "Tonight, we celebrate not only the union of Newbie and Dylan, but also the beginning of a new chapter in our history," Zorak declared, his voice resonating with authority. "Let us embrace the bonds that connect our worlds. Together, we will forge a path toward a brighter future." Cheers erupted from the crowd, and Dylan felt a surge of hope. He was part of something monumental, a bridge between two worlds, two cultures. With Newbie by his side, he knew they could face any challenge that came their way. As the celebrations continued, Newbie pulled Dylan aside, leading him to a quieter corner of the spire. The stars twinkled above them, a tapestry of light against the velvety sky. "I have something to show you," she said, her excitement bubbling over. "Really? What is it?" Dylan asked, intrigued. "Follow me," she said, taking his hand and guiding him down a softly lit corridor. They passed through rooms adorned with stunning art and strange, beautiful plants that glowed in the dark. Finally, they reached a balcony that overlooked the floating city. Dylan gasped as he stepped outside. The view was breathtaking, a panorama of shimmering lights and colorful structures suspended in the sky. Below, vibrant gardens floated among the buildings, and streams of light connected them like veins pulsing with energy. "This is incredible," Dylan exclaimed, leaning over the railing. "I've never seen anything like it." Newbie smiled, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the city below. "This is our home, Dylan. The central spire is just the beginning. There's so much to explore and experience here." As they stood together, the cool night air enveloping them, Dylan felt a sense of peace wash over him. He turned to Newbie, his heart swelling with affection. "I can't believe how lucky I am to be here with you." Newbie's expression softened, and she cupped his face in her hands. "We're lucky to have found each other. You've changed my life in ways I can't even begin to describe. I've always felt different, but with you, I feel whole." In that moment, surrounded by the beauty of Zentura, Dylan realized just how much he had come to care for her. "We're in this together, no matter what," he vowed. "I want to learn about your world, your customs, and I want to build a future with you and our child." Her eyes sparkled with unshed tears, and she pulled him into a tight embrace. "I can't wait to share everything with you." As they stood together on the balcony, the stars twinkling above them, Dylan felt a profound sense of hope. The future was uncertain, but they would face it together, hand in hand. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity as Dylan acclimated to his new life on Zentura. Newbie became his guide, introducing him to the nuances of Zenturian culture. They explored floating gardens filled with bioluminescent flora, visited markets bursting with exotic foods and vibrant textiles, and attended gatherings where the community celebrated their heritage. One afternoon, Newbie took him to a traditional Zenturian festival, where families gathered to honor their ancestors. The air was thick with the scent of spices and sweet pastries, and the sounds of laughter and music filled the space. "Today, we honor those who came before us," Newbie explained as they walked through the bustling crowd. "It's a day for reflection, remembrance, and celebration." Dylan watched in awe as families gathered around bonfires, sharing stories and traditions passed down through generations. He marveled at the sense of community, the love and connection that bound them together. "Can we join them?" Dylan asked, feeling drawn to the warmth of the celebration. "Of course," Newbie replied, her excitement palpable. "Let's share our stories too." They approached a family gathered around a fire, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. Newbie introduced them, and they welcomed Dylan with open arms, eager to learn about his life on Earth. As he shared stories of his upbringing, the challenges he had faced, and the dreams that had led him to this moment, he felt a connection forming, a bridge between his past and their future. The Zenturians listened intently, their eyes shining with interest and understanding. "You have a remarkable story, Dylan," one elder said, his voice rich with warmth. "It is clear that you have much to offer our community." Dylan felt a sense of pride swell within him. "I want to be a part of this world and learn everything I can. Your culture is beautiful, and I'm honored to be welcomed into it." As the festival continued, Newbie took Dylan's hand, leading him away from the gathering. "I want to show you something special," she said, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "Another secret," Dylan teased, a smile playing on his lips. "Yes, follow me," she urged, pulling him along through the winding paths of the festival. They reached a secluded area at the edge of the festivities, where bioluminescent flowers illuminated the surroundings, casting a soft glow. In the center stood a small pond, its surface reflecting the stars above. "This is the Well of Wishes," Newbie explained, her voice hushed in reverence. "It's said that if you make a wish here, it will be heard by the cosmos." Dylan gazed at the serene beauty of the well, the air tinged with magic and possibility. "What should I wish for?" he pondered aloud. "Whatever is in your heart," Newbie replied softly, her expression serious. "This is a place of hope and dreams." He took a moment, closing his eyes as he reflected on everything that had brought him to this moment. "I wish for our family to be happy and healthy," he whispered, feeling the weight of his words. "I want us to navigate whatever challenges come our way together." As he opened his eyes, he glanced at Newbie, who looked at him with a mixture of admiration and love. "That's a beautiful wish," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "I believe it will come true." With a newfound sense of purpose, Dylan took her hand and made a silent vow. He would do everything in his power to protect their family and nurture the bond they shared. As they returned to the festival, Dylan felt a shift within himself. He was no longer just an outsider. He was becoming part of something bigger, a tapestry of lives woven together by love and shared experiences. Each day on Zentura brought new lessons, new friendships, and a deepening connection to the land and its people. But as the days turned into weeks, the shadow of Zorak's earlier warnings lingered in the back of Dylan's mind. He knew that while he had proven himself to the Council, there were still challenges ahead. The political landscape of Zentura was complex, and navigating it would require careful consideration and respect for traditions. One evening, as they walked through the floating gardens, Dylan broached the subject with Newbie. "Have you talked to your father about our plans?" he asked cautiously. Newbie's expression darkened slightly. "I have. He's still concerned about our marriage and the implications it carries. He believes that our union could upset the delicate balance of power among the factions of Zentura." Dylan sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I understand his perspective, but we can't let that dictate our happiness. We deserve to carve our own path." "I know," Newbie replied, determination sparking in her eyes. "But we must also be respectful of our customs. It's a delicate balance." Together, they devised a plan to engage with Zorak and the Council further, hoping to find a way to honor their customs while asserting their desire to build a life together. They decided to host a gathering at the central spire, inviting the Council members and community leaders to share their vision for the future. As they prepared for the event, Dylan felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. This was their chance to create dialogue and foster understanding between their worlds. He wanted to demonstrate that their union was not a threat, but an opportunity for growth and collaboration. On the day of the gathering, the central spire was adorned with flowers and lights, the atmosphere buzzing with anticipation. Dylan wore a traditional Zenturian tunic that Newbie had helped him select, feeling a sense of pride as he embraced their culture. As guests arrived, Dylan welcomed each one, feeling a growing sense of connection to the community. When Zorak entered, the room fell silent. He surveyed the gathering, his expression inscrutable. "Thank you all for coming," Newbie began, her voice steady. "Today, Dylan and I want to share our vision for the future. We believe that our union can symbolize the strength of collaboration between our worlds." Dylan stepped forward, his heart racing. "We are not here to challenge traditions, but to build bridges. We want to learn from you, share our knowledge, and foster understanding between our people." Zorak remained stoic, his gaze piercing. "And how do you propose to accomplish this?" Dylan took a deep breath, his mind racing as he formulated his response. "We want to create programs that promote cultural exchange, workshops, festivals, and educational initiatives that allow both our people to learn from one another." The room buzzed with murmurs, the council members exchanging glances. Newbie stepped beside him, her presence a comforting reminder of their shared purpose. "We can build a future that honors both our heritages," she added. "Together, we can create a new narrative that unites us rather than divides us." Zorak's expression softened slightly, though skepticism lingered in his eyes. "This will require significant effort and commitment from both sides. Are you prepared to invest in this vision?" "Yes," Dylan replied, his voice resolute. "I am willing to dedicate my time and energy to make this work. I believe our families and our worlds can grow stronger together." As the gathering continued, discussions flowed, ideas exchanged, and the initial tension began to dissipate. Dylan felt a renewed sense of hope as council members engaged with their vision, considering the possibilities that lay ahead. Hours passed in what felt like a blur of excitement and collaboration. By the time the gathering drew to a close, Dylan and Newbie had forged connections that would pave the way for their future. As the guests departed, Zorak approached Dylan, a hint of respect in his gaze. "You have demonstrated courage and determination today, Earthling. I will support your vision, but know that the path ahead will not be easy." "Thank you, Zorak," Dylan replied, gratitude washing over him. "I appreciate your willingness to consider our proposal. Together, we can create something meaningful." Newbie beamed at her father, a mixture of pride and hope in her eyes. As they stood together, the future felt bright. They had faced challenges, but they had also discovered the strength of love and collaboration. As the sun set over Zentura, casting a warm glow across the floating city, Dylan and Newbie stood hand in hand, ready to embrace whatever the universe had in store for them. Together, they would weave their own story, a tale of love, resilience, and the beauty of unity amidst adversity. Their journey had only just begun, and with each step, they would carve a path that honored both their worlds and created a legacy for their child. Bridging two worlds. As dawn broke over the floating city of Zentura, the golden light poured through the crystal walls of the central spire, illuminating Dylan and Newbie's room with a soft, ethereal glow. Dylan stirred awake, the events of the past few days flooding back to him, the trials he had faced, the council gathering, and the burgeoning bond he shared with Newbie and her family. Sitting up, he glanced out the window, marveling at the breathtaking view. The city floated gracefully amidst a sea of violet-hued clouds, with delicate structures glimmering like jewels in the early morning light. It was a stark contrast to the gray skies of Seattle, and for the first time in a long while, he felt a deep sense of peace settle within him. Newbie stirred beside him, her silver hair cascading over her shoulders like a waterfall of moonlight. "Good morning, my love," she murmured, her voice still heavy with sleep. "Good morning," Dylan replied, his heart warming at the sight of her. "Are you ready for today?" She smiled, a hint of mischief dancing in her silver eyes. "Today marks the beginning of our cultural exchange program. I'm excited to show you what we've planned." Dylan's excitement mirrored hers. They had worked tirelessly over the past few days to establish a framework for their vision, bridging the gap between Earth and Zentura. The program would include workshops, festivals, and collaborative projects that would promote understanding and appreciation of each other's cultures. After a quick breakfast of alien delicacies that Newbie insisted were must-tries, they made their way to the central plaza of the city. The plaza was bustling with activity as community members prepared for the day's events. Colorful banners adorned the space, and tables were set up, displaying an array of art, crafts, and food from both Earth and Zentura. "Look at this," Newbie exclaimed, tugging Dylan toward a booth where artists showcased their works. "These are Zenturian artists collaborating with humans to create something unique." Dylan watched in awe as the artists painted together, blending techniques from both worlds. One artist from Earth used a brush technique that produced intricate patterns, while a Zenturian used bioluminescent pigments that glowed softly in the light. The result was a stunning mural that seemed to come alive, shimmering as if it were breathing. "This is amazing," Dylan said, genuinely impressed. "It's incredible to see how art can unite us." As they moved through the plaza, Dylan felt a sense of pride swell within him. This was more than just a program, it was a movement toward unity. He stopped to speak with the artists, asking about their inspirations and processes, eager to learn more about their shared vision. "Art has no boundaries," one artist explained, a smile brightening her face. "Through collaboration, we create a dialogue that transcends words." Dylan nodded, feeling the truth of her words resonate deeply within him. The blending of their cultures was unfolding before his eyes, and he was grateful to be part of it. Later in the day, the plaza filled with laughter and excitement as the festival commenced. Performers from both Earth and Zentura showcased their talents, weaving together music, dance, and storytelling. Dylan watched in awe as a group of Zenturian dancers moved fluidly, their bodies mimicking the grace of the floating cities, while musicians played instruments that produced sounds he had never encountered before. Do you see how they incorporate elements from both worlds? Newbie pointed out, her eyes sparkling with excitement. This is just the beginning, Dylan. People are embracing the idea of collaboration. As the festivities continued, Dylan and Newbie made their way to a stage set up for the opening ceremony. Zorak, alongside other council members and community leaders, was scheduled to speak about the importance of the cultural exchange program. "Are you nervous?" Newbie asked, sensing Dylan's apprehension. "Just a little," he admitted, taking a deep breath. "But I believe in what we're doing, and I want to share that passion with everyone." The crowd began to gather, and Dylan's heart raced as he took his place beside Newbie at the podium. As Zorak stepped forward to address the audience, the energy in the plaza shifted, a palpable sense of anticipation filling the air. "Citizens of Zentura," Zorak began, his voice commanding attention. "Today, we embark on a journey toward unity. The cultural exchange program between our worlds symbolizes our commitment to understanding and collaboration. It is not merely an initiative, it is a promise to embrace the beauty of our differences." Cheers erupted from the crowd, and Dylan felt a surge of hope. He glanced at Newbie, who'd beamed with pride at her father's words. "As we open our hearts to one another, we pave the way for a future filled with possibility," Zorak continued. "Dylan of Earth has demonstrated remarkable courage in joining our family and our community. I invite him to share his thoughts with you." Dylan stepped forward, his palms slightly sweaty, but his determination unwavering. He looked out at the sea of faces, both curious and supportive, and felt a wave of warmth wash over him. "Thank you, Chancellor Zorak," he began, his voice steady. "And thank you all for welcoming me into your community. I am honored to be here and to be a part of this incredible journey." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "As we embark on this cultural exchange, let us remember that every interaction is an opportunity for growth. We have so much to learn from one another, our histories, our art, our passions. Together, we can create a tapestry that celebrates our unique identities while finding strength in our shared humanity." As he spoke, Dylan felt the weight of the moment. This was more than just a speech. It was a commitment to the future they were building together. The crowd listened intently, nodding in agreement, and he saw glimmers of hope in their eyes. "Let us open our hearts and minds to one another," he concluded, his voice filled with passion. "This is just the beginning, and I can't wait to see what we will create together." Applause erupted, and Dylan felt a rush of exhilaration. He stepped back, heart pounding with a mixture of relief and joy as Newbie wrapped her arms around him. "You were amazing," she whispered, her eyes shining with admiration. As the ceremony continued, the crowd began to mingle, exploring the various booths and activities set up throughout the plaza. Dylan and Newbie joined them, moving from one station to the next, each showcasing a blend of Earth and Zenturian culture. One booth featured cooking demonstrations, where chefs from both worlds showcased their culinary techniques. Dylan watched in awe as they combined traditional Earth ingredients with exotic spices from Zentura, creating dishes that tantalized the senses. He eagerly sampled everything, marveling at the explosion of flavors that danced on his palate. "This is incredible," he exclaimed, savoring a dish that combined Earth's chicken with zesty Zenturian sauce. "I need to learn how to make this." Newbie laughed, her eyes sparkling with joy. "We'll have to make it together. Imagine the reactions from your family when they taste our fusion cuisine." As the day turned into evening, the plaza transformed into a spectacle of lights and sounds. Bioluminescent flowers bloomed, casting a soft glow over the festivities. Performers dazzled the crowd with aerial displays, dancing gracefully through the air, while musicians filled the space with enchanting melodies that resonated deep within Dylan's soul. "This is truly magical," Dylan said, taking a moment to absorb the atmosphere. "I never imagined I would experience something like this." "Just wait until the finale," Newbie said, her excitement palpable. The floating lanterns are the highlight of the festival. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow across the plaza, the crowd gathered to witness the grand finale. Dylan felt the energy building as people took their places, anticipation humming in the air. When the time finally came, Newbie took Dylan's hand, leading him to a vantage point where they could watch the spectacle unfold. The first lanterns were released, rising gracefully into the sky, illuminating the darkness with their soft glow. One by one, they floated upward, creating a tapestry of light against the starry backdrop. "Look at them," Dylan gasped, mesmerized by the beauty of the scene. "It's breathtaking." As more lanterns joined the sky, the atmosphere felt charged with magic and possibility. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Dylan couldn't help but smile as he watched the lights dance above them, a symbol of their shared hopes and dreams. In that moment, he felt a profound sense of connection to this place and the people around him. He had come so far from the confines of his old life, and he was ready to embrace the future that awaited him. As the last lantern drifted into the night, Dylan turned to Newbie, his heart overflowing with gratitude and love. "Thank you for bringing me here, for believing in this vision. I couldn't have done it without you." Newbie smiled, her eyes shimmering with emotion. "We did this together. This is our journey, our story, and I can't wait to see where it takes us." Hand in hand, they stood beneath the starlit sky, knowing that they were on the brink of something extraordinary. Their love, their commitment to bridging their worlds, and their shared dreams were the foundation of a future filled with endless possibilities. Little did they know, the journey ahead would challenge them in ways they never expected. The political landscape of Zentura was complex, and while they had made significant strides, there were still those who opposed their union. Challenges would arise, testing the bonds they had forged and the commitment they had made. But in that moment, surrounded by the beauty of the festival and the warmth of their love, Dylan knew that together they could face anything. With hope in their hearts and a shared vision for the future, they were ready to embark on the next chapter of their extraordinary adventure.